we'll be discussing a little bit about Hyperliquid and is it really the future of on chain trading infrastructure? So, before that, let's understand that why on chain trading hasn't replaced centralized exchanges yet. So, basically, decentralized exchanges are transparent, but they are slow and fragmented. And we all know that the centralized exchanges are fast, but they are trust reliant and opaque. So, for example, the centralized exchanges are like Binance and OKX, and decentralized exchanges are like Uniswap and HoshiSwap and PancakeSwap. So there are lots of decentralized exchanges and centralized exchanges. But still, if we see the volume of the trading, we see that centralized exchanges are far more ahead in the game as compared to the decentralized exchanges. And really, the main goal of the blockchain was to remove the centralization everywhere and introduce decentralization on every part. But the tradings has been failed to do so. I mean, not really failed, but they are still hacking behind as compared to a centralized exchange like Coinbase and Binance. So to understand that why on-chain trading hasn't replaced the centralized exchanges yet, we need to understand that it does not really have uh, full transparency, and it is slow, and like they are very slow and they are fragmented. So what if we could combine the performance of centralized exchange with full on-chain trust? Now that would be a game changer, right? And there comes Hyperliquid. So what is Hyperliquid? Hyperliquid is a decentralized exchange which is built on its own layer 1 blockchain. So to understand this, the other decentralized exchanges that I said, like Uniswap and PancakeSwap, they are built on the top of EVM. Now, Uniswap has already launched their one more chain, which is Unichain, so they also might be leading the race soon enough. But for now, most of it is based on the top of the EVMs and like Arbitrum and Ethereum. So Hyperliquid, what it is doing different from the other is that it is built on its own layer 1 blockchain, and unlike the traditional dexes which are built on general purpose chain, Hyperliquid uses a custom architecture to process the trade directly on chain. So to understand this more, the other like decentralized exchanges, they are built on the top of the chains which are made to be used everywhere. So for example, the chains like Ethereum and Polygon and all the other chains, they are used and they're made to act on all the other chains and to support all kind of infrastructure developments on the top of it. Whereas Hyperliquid is specifically built and it is used in a custom architecture to just process the trades directly on chain. So this it is able to do fully on chain order book, which means that the all trades and cancellations are executed on chain in real time, which means that on the centralized exchanges it is not fully on chain and it is off the chain. So there's full transparency on this. And then comes the centralized level exchange speed, so which means that because the custom consensus engines, it enables fast finality and deep liquidity. Now, because it is built on the top of a custom architecture, it is able to achieve the centralized exchange level speed. And then comes the advanced trading tools, which means that it supports perpetual derivatives, cross margins, and conditional orders. All the reason is the same, that they decided to build on its own layer 1 blockchain. And the last is it has a good user friendly experience. That means that the interface is extremely smooth with no gas fees, and it gives a feel of entirely centralized exchange feel. So now we have just talked about what makes it different. Now let's understand how Hyperliquid exactly works. So the first part is that it is the one custom layer blockchain, which means that it is able to process 100,000 orders per second, because that is the only purpose of this chain, which handles high frequency trades without any congestions. And because of this, it is able to eliminate all the MEV attacks and also the front running attacks which are common on general purpose chains. So if you don't know what are front running, which means that to if a transaction is getting appended, then a bot may come and it attaches itself in the front of the transaction to make sure and to enjoy the purpose that the earlier transaction was going to have. So this is the front running attack, and it is common on general purpose chain because they are built for general purposes and they need a lot of validators to check, and the processing is a little bit slow on this. As compared to this, the processing is up to 100,000 orders per second, and the latency is less than 1 second in this one. And this I can do it, and since it is its own blockchain, let's understand what kind of consensus it is using. So it is using hyper BFT consensus, which means that it is has created its own hyper Byzantine fault tolerance consensus, which was not earlier developed. They have developed the consensus specifically for their own blockchain. So what hyper BFT is doing is that BFT means that it is like, even if 1/3 of the blocks of the nodes of a consensus are malicious, then also the transitions can be validated, even if 1/3 of the actors can come as a fault. So it is able to tolerate a high amount of fault, and since it is used for made custom for the hyper liquid, the consensus which is used in this is called hyper BFT. And what it is doing is that the orders are confirmed and settled in under less than a seconds, and it enables real-time execution with almost no trade delays. So, and the third part is on-chain order book, which means that the all trades, cancellations, and updates are on-chain, which means that the fully transparent and verifiable by anyone, and it has no hidden matching logic or off-chain manipulation. The fourth and the important part is the decentralized clearing house part. So, which means that it supports both cross margins and isolated margins. So the risk is managed natively through smart contracts, and efficient capital use for advanced traders are used. Now comes the last part, which is the last but not the least, which is the real-time Oracle updates and the EVM compatible bridge. So let's understand first the real-time Oracle updates, which means that the validators are able to fetch data from top exchanges, which means that the accurate pricing for liquidation and fair trading. So validators are giving Oracle updates in every 3 seconds, which gives a very accurate pricing, and it lowers the risk of stale data during market volatility. And the last part is that it has a EVM compatible bridge, which means that there's a seamless integration with broader DeFi ecosystem, and it opens up Hyperliquid to Ethereum based liquidity very clearly. So now how Hyperliquid can transform your Web3 project. So Hyperliquid Trade, what it does is that it is optimized for high performance execution, which means that it has a real time on chain order book for transparent trading, and then it supports margin trading for more advanced use cases. And Hyperliquid Vaults, what it does is that it is open market making to retail liquidity providers. It provides passive yield opportunities and enables decentralized liquidity for your platforms. And then comes the part that it also has a hyperliquid portfolio and hyperliquid referrals, which means that it has a real time tracking for position management. It helps you retain active and passive users. And hyperliquid referrals, since it is new, it gives reward based system for growing your user base, and it aligns incentives for community growth and success. So conclusion, that why Hyperliquid changes the game is that it has a entirely fully on-chain order book. It has no gas fees or hidden logic. It has a centralized exchange speed and very easy UX. And then comes a part that it is transparent and margin risk part. So if you want to build the future of on-chain trading with token mines, do let us know. We are expertise in DeFi, and we also are expertise in creating on-chain order books. And if you want to build your DeFi ecosystem, uh, uh, a project, then please do reach out to us. Until then, stay tuned for the webinars, because every week we come out with a new cutting edge webinar. See you until then. Bye bye.